Never in my life have I watched a Final Destination movie. It's one of my blind spots. I know virtually nothing about the entire franchise. For all I know, it's just a clip show of violence and gore. Yesterday, I watched the 6th installment in the franchise. So I'm Jake, this is Woman Carrying Man, and Nadia isn't here today because she didn't want to see this movie, also schedule stuff. So I like to go in usually with a lot of context around the movie. I like to know about the trailers and reviews and everything. I like to feel informed about what the conversation is. This movie, I just saw it was playing. I saw that it was coming up. I know Final Fantasy, not what am I doing? I know that Final Destination is a popular franchise, horror franchise, and I like horror, and this was getting good reviews, so I went and saw it. For all I know, Final Destination is a clip show of horrible things happening to people through like random chance. I know about like the logs rolling on the road. I worry about that a lot just because we live in Washington State, so I see lots of those types of trucks. But yeah, that's basically all I know about it. Until now, I sat down and watched this movie, and I'll be honest, my first impression was not good. The opening scene of this is, and I'm going to get into spoilers for the whole movie later on in the second half, but the opening scene of this movie is a period piece scene with heavy use of CGI, and I was not enjoying that. I was like, oh, this doesn't look great. This looks kind of cheap. However, the filmmaking on display, the ramping up of the tension, the cutting, the sound effects. I mean, everything was building to a crescendo of disaster that I found very fun and amusing. This movie definitely has a great sense of humor. I, for one, enjoy movies where horrible people meet terrible fates, but I also like when great people meet terrible fates in funny movies such as this. Not saying everyone in this movie is great, but you know, you're rooting for people to live. I didn't see the plot coming. I was pleasantly surprised. I liked how the plot moved and evolved. I liked learning about the lore. I don't know how similar this movie is to the other movies in the franchise, but there is a plot development, characters with motivation. I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise, but for some reason I thought Final Destination was just like random gore. Maybe some of them are, I have no idea. But this movie had a great story. I liked the plot. I liked the characters. I liked the setup. It reminded me of The Monkey, which is it came out this year, a recent Oz Perkins movie that I thought was really fun. Similar situation with like a curse, like a bad thing, lots of people dying. But this was, I really liked the how death is incorporated, like the personification of death almost. It was just very fun and amusing. The kills ranged from really entertaining and funny and gross to, that was just like a CGI mess. Fortunately, most of the kills were very fun. And I'm talking now about kills like, you know, a horror movie fan rather than like a actual film critic and I feel like the tides are turning on film criticism addressing horror movies. I think that there's a lot more openness and understanding among film critics about movies like this. There's an artistry and a craft to the schlock and gore, and kills themselves can show some incredible technique and artistry from filmmaking perspective. I found so many of the sequences really fun and enjoyable. The way they're shot and edited, it's very creative. Props to the directors here. That's what elevated the movie for me. I had a really fun time. I thought it was going to be a bit of a chore, but I was just having a great time. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about fate, thinking about themes, and I'm not trying to say like I had a super low bar or this movie's great because it exceeded a bar that was low or anything like that. I just think that it worked very well as a horror movie. Again, it reminded me of The Monkey. I'd put The Monkey up maybe a little, like a notch higher than this. I think The Monkey is really fun and very deep. But this was great. It was a blast. It's like silly and goofy, but also with a sense of heart and a sense of just like that morbid curiosity, you know. I kind of just want to get into spoilers because I don't know what is like spoilers for this movie or spoilers that are stuff that's not really spoilers that is involved in the whole franchise, but I'll get into it. I recommend seeing it if you're a horror fan. I mean, if you're a Final Destination fan, I mean, of course you'd want to see it. This is probably getting the best reviews out of any in the franchise, I think. Yeah, I just had a really fun time. Spoiler talk. Three, two, one, spoilers. A lot of times a movie like this can verge onto being too comical and not have the weight and the feeling of like fear that you need. I think that this movie had a great blend of that. I think that there's one actor in particular, Richard Harmon, who played one of the brothers or one of her cousins, the main character's cousins, and was so fun to watch on screen. He had kind of like a fuck it, like whatever kind of attitude towards this horror that I learn is like this deeply invested system of death, you know, and it all made sense and came together in a satisfying way. And the stakes got ramped up once we learned and evolved and once more people died. So Iris is the one who doesn't die in the opening scene. I guess that was like a vision or a premonition. Apparently this is something in the franchise that happens where there's a premonition. You guys correct me if I'm wrong because I really don't know. But based on just seeing this movie, it seems like the rest of the franchise probably focuses on one character. It starts out with a character having a premonition and saving a bunch of people from a catastrophic situation, then realizing that death does have to come and take the lives of these people no matter what, and usually in very grisly ways. You don't mess with death, you know? Like I like the chaos element. I like the being very hyper vigilant of the most horrible stuff that could happen, the most random shit, you know, anything could kill you. So this woman, Iris, has this premonition, we later learn, and she saved everyone there, but they all got killed because death caught up with them eventually. She avoided that by being hyper vigilant of death, by like hiding away in this cabin and not being around anyone. But she was a horrible grandmother, of course, a horrible mom, and her kids are avoiding her naturally. But now death is finally reaching up to their bloodline. That's, I guess, the title of the movie fitting, Final Destination Bloodlines. And our main character, she's in college. She comes back home, but she's having these dreams of the vision that Iris had, and is like investigating and figuring this out, and realizes and discovers that she can kind of see when the bad stuff is going to happen, and figures out the order of operation of when these characters are going to die. For the most part, there's some twist there. I loved the lore here, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm like, we have a new baby at home, and I am in that constant mode of, okay, what, focusing like crazy on all the tiny little things that could possibly harm him in the house, you know, and like, you know, he's going to bump his head if he rolls this way, so got to, you know, like that kind of thing is constant on my mind. So I don't know, I thought this movie would be very unpleasant, but it was kind of cathartic, being like the silliest, stupidest like stuff happening to get these people killed. It's like they're great set pieces, you know. There's one set piece that's it's a lawn after a funeral. They're all celebrating, and this was in the trailer, I think, but a piece of glass gets mixed up with the ice, and that was it ends up being a fake out because you think someone's gonna swallow the ice, but it ends up going on the ground, and the guy steps on it through a ridiculous set of circumstances, gets his face destroyed and his head destroyed by a lawnmower. There's a great set piece with an MRI machine that was just comically over the top. Yeah, I mean, they're all very fun, and I just like the dynamic of the characters. I like the family kind of coming to terms with the situation, at first doubting our main character, her suspicions, but then coming to terms of like, oh wow, okay, yeah, everyone in the bloodline related to Iris is going to die, so let's try to figure out how to stop this, and they have to go on a little road trip to the hospital, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know, it's like comfort food for me, you know? It's like fun horror tropes of family trying to fend off this like dark, ominous force. I like the concept of like, you don't know how something's going to kill you. It's not a traditional type of horror movie monster. It's some parallels to Halloween 2018 actually here, with like the crazy grandmother and the granddaughter getting help from her, and the crazy grandmother actually being right about being hypervigilant. And yeah, very Halloween 2018, but unlike Michael Myers or something, this is an otherworldly force that takes out people in very funny ways. I mean, like all these movies, I knew that everyone was going to die ultimately because it kind of has that dark, sicko humor. They think that they defeat the death at the end because she drowns briefly and then comes back to life, but then they're talking to like a doctor at the end of the film, and it turns out that, oh, she didn't actually die, you know, her heart would have had to stop or whatever, some reason. And then there's a big CGI train that derails and kills her and her brother. Didn't love that. I was just kind of like, you know what, you were on such a high note. Why did we have to end with this like really cheesy looking CGI train wreck? It was fine how it ended. Overall, I would give this probably like 3.5 out of 5 stars. You know, I feel like Nadia would actually really like this because it is very funny and she has kind of a morbid sense of humor. Yeah, so I would like to show her. Should we watch more of the Final Fantasy? Not Final Destination. Should we watch more Final Destination movies? I kind of want to show Nadia some now when we have time and are away from our son so as not to traumatize him. Yeah, let me know where this would rank on the series for you. Are there any of the movies that I should skip because of low quality, or how should I go about the series? I mean, I don't know. Lore dump on me. I don't care. I'll read the comments. Next week, I think we're doing Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch. Nadia will be here for those, so I'm excited for that. Well, I'm excited for one more than the other. You go ahead and guess which one. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a terrific day. Bye-bye.